what I did was fight. It's not who I am. The narrative I had was, if you and I get thrown in a room and one person has to come out, I'm coming out. Such a contrast from everyday me.
Did you ever think your story would be told at the level it's being told right now?
No, I can't even put it in context. If a movie's made, who's going to play you? That's a running joke.
If I had asked you that question 10 years ago,
it wouldn't even seem realistic.
What was your reaction when you saw the movie for the first time?
It was unbelievable. They genuinely recreated my whole life. Where addiction narrowed for me is to take myself out because nothing worked anymore. And that's the horror of untreated addiction.
You wanted to be a pro wrestler?
Yeah, and talking to them, it's a lot of work.
You wrestled Kurt Angle many times.
Total of 8 times.
One of the greatest pro wrestlers of all time.
Undoubtedly.
He just flips it in another gear.
Yeah, I was on the Olympic team because he found another gear that I couldn't find.
The Smashing Machine. How'd you get that nickname?
So,
Mark, such a pleasure to have you in here. Thank you so much.
No, this is my pleasure. I love having these conversations.
Look, I'm a long-time MMA fan, UFC fan. Like, I remember watching UFC 2.
Oh my gosh.
Way back. So I watched you in UFC. I remember watching the Smashing Machine documentary back then. So it's amazing now, all these years later, to sit across from you and share this conversation.
The world is a strange thing. I mean, it's just one where, for it to put me in this position, for me to be here, it's been this incredible odyssey.
Did you ever think that your story would be told at the level it's being told right now?
Oh God, no. And I've talked about this. I can't even put it in context, right? I don't have anything in my life that's a correlation to it, So it's like one of those, hey, if a movie's made, who's going to play you? That's a running joke, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think I have the best person in the world. I don't think I could up it any, It ended up being just this incredible, Dwayne is just an amazing human being. Everybody involved has just been incredible.
If I had asked you that question 10 years ago, who would play you in the movie about your life? Would your answer have been Dwayne Johnson? Or would have just,
oh my God,
would that not even seem realistic?
It wouldn't even seem realistic. It wouldn't even be, it would go, come on, who would want to make anything about, the same thing when the documentary hit and all the stuff that surrounded that. Back then, it was, if you got something on HBO, if you're a comedian and you had an HBO special, you made it. That was Shangri-La, right? Yeah. You could build a whole entire career off of that. And so when the documentary got on HBO, it was like, oh my God, this is like it. But there's no social media. There's no YouTube like it is now. There's no internet like it is now. So it had its moment and then it was gone.
Yeah, and that was 2002.
Yeah. I mean, it was just this great moment, but then it was gone.
But think about it. If Benny Safdie hadn't seen that documentary, he wouldn't have been inspired to tell your story in this film.
Yeah. Yeah, oh my gosh, that's another one. Like like Benny and I've talked about it, like the film, like making this film for everyone involved came to them at the time that they needed it to come to them. When Benny and I touched base for the first time in January 2024, the running joke was like, he got on the phone, he goes, hi, my name's Benny Safdie, and I'm gonna make it was like this scripted thing, and then he just stopped and he goes, you can hear him go, all right, listen, here's what's really going on, and we have this heart-to-heart. We're on the phone for like an hour and a half, and he just at the end of the day, he goes, hey, I need to be completely emotionally transparent with me, like his conversations with me, if I'm gonna make a movie about me, right? Like, so that was the correlation, and it was this beautiful, like him and I, he said to me, he goes, hey, you're permanent, you're not a prop, he goes, I'll be friends with you for the rest of my life. Just this amazing connection that we developed.
What was your reaction when you saw the movie for the first time?
Oh God, I cried, just cried and cried. It was in a small little, they brought me out in January, and the film was about 80% complete. And my brother, Michael, met me out here, small little studio. And it was Benny, myself, and my brother. And I watched it. And some of it just hit me they didn't tell me going, hey, listen, Dwayne's going to do all this prosthetics. I didn't see that until I was in Vancouver, and just watching how deep they got emotionally on stuff was just, it was unbelievable.
Do you see you
Yeah.
when you watch him on screen?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, he did. So this is like the validation. A couple months after I watched it, my son, I have a 20-year-old son, with Dawn, and, he saw it in New York, and he got on the phone immediately afterward. He's like, "Oh my God, Dad." He was like totally freaked out because my speech pattern and the way I talk and hands and hand gestures and pauses. And he's just like, "Oh, Dad, it's like creepy."
And it's even the way that he walks.
That was the other one that he talked about. And I told him, I said, "Oh my God, like, how do you have like a walking coach you go to?" I mean, how do you even go, okay, yeah, I need to completely immerse myself in it. And understanding like I from all the screen grabs and all the photos that I sent them and all of that, they genuinely recreated my whole entire life. Necklace I wore, watch I wore, ring I wore, clothes I wore. I think it just allowed DJ to transform himself and really immerse himself in an environment where everything around him was that time frame.
So you find out they're going to make this film. Benny's going to direct this film. At what point does The Rock get attached to this?
That was originally when I got contacted in 2019 by Brad Schlater, which is DJ's agent. It was this conversation of like, hey, who owns your rights, or who owns the screenplay, or who owns, and so I directed him in that place, and that was like, Dwayne wants to do this. That was the first that I was like, huh.
Even back then.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like DJ wants to do this. Not that he's gonna do this. We're just gonna figure out maybe some options. And then he acquires $7 Production, acquires the rights, and then I get a call from DJ like right before the BMF belt in Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
And he makes that announcement. And, I've said this, it's like, back in 2019, the conversation I had with DJ was almost transactional. It was like, here's what I'm going to do. It's going to be this, 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 and this, and this. And this is going to happen. And you just don't need to do anything. It'll follow. And COVID hits. Writer strike, actor, all this stuff, and I had DJ. I had his phone number. I never called or texted him in 4 years. It wasn't going to change anything, right? Wasn't going to call him up, going, "You gonna make it yet? You gonna make it yet?" So, I just kind of left it to. It sounds silly to say because it's just, but I left it to the universe. It's like, if it's going to get made, there isn't anything I can do about it.
Did you have that belief inside of you that it would get made?
I had hope that it would. But I just lived my life like nothing was going to change. And my wife would go like, I'd call him, and I go, "No, just not." I said, somehow, some way, I truly believed that the universe would go, "Hey, now's when you need to reach out." So in the fall of 2023, at the end of October, I called Brad Schlater, and he just was like, "Oh my God, I can't even believe you're calling me." And this is what he said. He goes, "I can't tell you. You need to talk to Dwayne." And I'm like, "Okay." I said, "You can't say where." He goes, "Nope, I can't. It needs to come from him." And I'm like, "Oh my God." So it's either, hey, this thing's scrapped forever, or hey, we're rolling forward with it. So that was like a Thursday, and it was like, he goes, "DJ will text you over the weekend." So he texts me the next day. He's like, "Hey, I'll call you over the weekend." That whole weekend goes by. The whole week goes by. And I'm like, oh my God. Now it's like 9 days later. I'm like, what the fuck? So I get another text that next Friday. He's like, "I'll call you over the weekend." And it was like Saturday. And then it was like Sunday afternoon. And it was like, "Are you available?" I'm like, oh my God.
You're like, "I've been available for a week and a half."
Week and a half. It's just so I get on the phone with him, and it was the difference was in 2019 I said transactional, right? And in 2023 it was this just like a different person, a different space he was in, and it was this, hey, we're moving forward with this. Production's already started. He goes, when it moves, it's going to move fast. and not understanding like one of his assistants had like moved heaven and earth to clear out 12 weeks. Like he's so busy, I don't even know how I'd find 12 minutes, let alone 12 weeks, right?
Yeah.
And so they found a place in Vancouver and all this stuff. And it was like, he wasn't kidding. Like when he goes, hey, I'm going to announce it. And this is what got me. He goes, to the world that this thing's going forward. Like not to like California, not to it's like to the world. And I'm like, all of a sudden it goes and it's heading down the tracks. It was incredible.
How much time did he spend with you to go, what were you thinking in this moment? Or how would you have phrased this?
God, man, we did a lot of Zoom calls, a lot. And also with Emily, did a lot with her. And that was early on. And also a lot with Benny, because Benny was putting it together and writing it. And you know, a lot of things he wanted. The whole point from the beginning was this level of authenticity. You know, for people that were originally fans of the documentary, and then also the audience, you know, when mixed martial arts audience, they're educated. They completely understand stuff on a level that, you know, like 25 years ago, if you took a guy to the ground, they had no idea what the hell was going on, right? And so their attention to detail, authenticity. I mean, I sent him 8 boxes of stuff from my life 25 years ago. And they reproduced everything. It was amazing. I mean, it was incredible. Like just on a scale where I couldn't believe it.
There's so many parts of the documentary, and the movie is basically based on the documentary, those 3 years of your life. So many things in the documentary that are so like almost too raw. Like,
yeah.
Do you have any regrets about some of the things they showed in the documentary?
Man, you know, when I first saw it, so they filmed for, you know, 18 months, almost 2 years, and I never saw a single stitch of footage. Like I didn't see a second of it. They never showed me any of it. So the first time that I ever saw the documentary as it appeared on HBO was in a Dolby Sound studio here in LA. And there was like 4 or 5 of us watching it. And I got, like literally it ended, I got up and I just said to John, I just go like almost blank, like I'm gonna have to get back with you. And just walked out and walked down, got my car and started driving. I'm like, what the fuck did I just do? Like what? I couldn't believe the stuff they captured. And I couldn't believe like just how vulnerable, how just naked I was. It's like they filmed a porno, basically. Like that's what it felt like.
You let them in. Like there's a shot. It's actually a shot in the movie too, where like you're injecting the needle into your arm. You can see the track mark. You've been doing it for a while. Later on in the film, you're in a hospital bed. We don't know if you're gonna make it or not. Like it's like you were wide open.
Yeah, and part of during that process, there's like this point where John Greenhall put the camera down and he just, him and I sat and talked, and he's like, if you trust me, you can let me in. I'm not going to judge it. I'm not going to, because at the end he was, the whole point from him was like, you need help one way or the other, right? You need to find a solution for what's going on. And it's not like now where there's, you can get on the internet and find 50, 100 rehab places to go to, or understand what being dope sick is, or, all these different things at the time that I didn't understand or didn't have the resources to get to understand it. So when he said, if you let me in, he goes, here's what I'll do. I'll give you final say over the whole entire thing. If you don't like what we put together, it doesn't have to go forward from there.
How close were you to dying in that scene?
I should have died at the hospital before they transported me to the main hospital. Wow. I mean, I was unattended. When they found me, I was in the bathroom, lips blue, barely breathing, you know. It was just one of those where your body starts going into this catabolic state where they really can't do anything medically to pull you out of it. Your body has to kind of find its own equilibrium.
Wow.
You're like my blood, because of the lack of oxygen, was acidotic. It's acidic. The pH balance in my body is just all whacked out of line, and you know. So I spent 3 days in the hospital just to get to a point of like neutral, you know, and they didn't. And so the filmmakers are way over their skis. They have no fucking clue what to do. And so they literally they wouldn't let me go home. They were just like, they put me on a plane and sent me to New York because they're like, we don't know what to do. So I was in New York for like 7 days at a friend of mine's house, and it was just brutal. I mean, brutal. You know, when you come off of opiates, it's just your body is just destroyed. Energy sources, like I had to walk down a flight of stairs, walk a block, and have to turn around and walk back because I just didn't have the energy to walk any further. And it's this whole, like, my body's resetting, and it's like this hardcore way to do it. I mean, I at that point, I had been on opiates for probably 10 months. Not a single day missed, you know.
And what a juxtaposition of, like, you look like this huge hulking man.
Yeah.
You can barely walk down the street.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was that the moment where you realized, I got to get help?
Oh, it was finally they, you know, like said, hey, listen, there's this place in Tucson you can go to, and they literally flew me back, still wouldn't let me go to my house. Said, we'll throw clothes in a bag. Because at the house I still had hidden spots of all this stuff. And so they weren't going to let me back in my house. They're like, dude, we're going to go through it from best we can, you know. And so, you know, I spent 25 days. And it's the first time I got to address a lot of different issues, you know, like in 96, my mom died in September, and I had my first fights in January of 97. And so, you know, after my mom died, I was just devastated. And so I had this attitude where it's like, you know what, I'm just going to put my foot down on the gas, right? And I'm going to go forward as hard as I can for as long as I can. And then when I get to wherever I am, I'll clean up all the fucking shit, you know. It's like, and so it's this mentality, and it was the first time I paused. And in that pause, it was like, I sat down with a counselor, and this is give you an idea of the space I was in. Like, sit down with a counselor, a grief counselor, when I was in treatment, and have this conversation of like, oh my God, I've been trying to get over my mom's death, and she just stopped me and said, you're never going to fucking get over it. Never. So stop trying. Right. And it was like this light bulb of like this relief of like, wow. Yeah. You're trying to get over something you never can get over.
It'll always be with you.
Always.
Yeah.
You learn to appreciate the time you had with her, appreciate all these different factors. Right.
Yeah.
And so, it was like this moment where I was like, fuck, I don't have to get over this. You know, I don't. And that was like one of the many little gifts that I left there with of like, you know, I don't have to punish myself. Right. And this whole idea of like, this came a little bit later, you know, idea of like never enough. You know, if I won 5 championships, I should have won 10. Right. So I'm in this perpetual wheel of never enough.
Yeah.
You know, if I get this, I need that. If I get that, I need this. And I get this, I need that. And it's this insane life, you know, and it's one where it's like, I don't have to place my value in that. It's, you know, what I did was fight. It's not who I am, right? Like, what'd you do? Well, I was a fighter. That's what I did. It's not who I am, right? That was my occupation, right? Yeah. And so having this ability to separate the two out and go, it was powerful. It set me on a path. You know, it took me years to get it. Because, you know, most times, I think they call it like I'm going to be the one person on the planet that's not gonna, wins over addiction. It's like, it's just the most ridiculous shit in the world. It's like, no, they call it a disease because it has a beginning, it has a middle, and it has an end. It has a pathology, right? Yeah. It's a disease. And you can go to China right now and somebody can be an alcoholic. They're going to have similar stories that I have, how I drank, because it's a disease. It has commonality to it.
Yeah.
So
Blue Chew is the upgrade button for your life between the sheets. Chewable tablets that deliver stronger, harder, longer lasting erections without the hoops. No waiting rooms, no pharmacy lines, just a quick online visit. And once approved by a licensed medical provider, Blue Chew sends the chews straight to your door. Made to work, and your first month is free. BlueChew.com. It's as simple as that. Guys, if you've been thinking about it, now is the time to try Blue Chew with your first month free. Just sign up at BlueChew.com. Blue Chew tablets are made in the USA and prepared and shipped directly to your door. The best part is this is all done online. That means no visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. Make life easier by getting harder. And discover your options at BlueChew.com. And we've got a special deal for you because you're listening and watching right now. Try your first month of Blue Chew for free when you use the promo code CVV. Just pay $5 for shipping. That's promo code CVV. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and safety information. And a huge thank you to Blue Chew for sponsoring this episode.
All these years later, and removed from fighting as well, where do you draw value from now in your life?
In the last, so I've been sober 7 years now. So it's been, a lot of the recovery community, but also it's a lot of rebuilding a relationship with my son, who, so I spent a total of 23 years with Dawn. I'm 56, so it's almost half my life.
Yeah.
And so that chaos that you see on screen, continued. It continued almost like I was with her, like it's almost an addiction. You get addicted to that exchange of energy, negative energy, right? And fully addicted to it. So I would get away from it and want to go back to it, and get away from it and want to go back to it. So there wasn't any consistency for my son. So basically it's been the last, my son's be 21 in a couple of weeks here. It's been the last 5 years of just rebuilding trust. And it's been huge because when you have a child that doesn't trust an adult for anything, for emotional support, for housing security, for all these different factors, you're like, that probably hit me the worst.
Well, not just an adult, his father.
Yeah. And
what do you think's the big core lesson that fighting taught you?
Oh, perseverance. Because I'm just telling you, there's times where literally it was like a completely fuck it, there's moments where I could have just went, fuck it, I don't care. I'm going to go live in a box, right? Where it narrowed for me, where addiction narrowed for me was there wasn't any choice. It's basically take myself out to no longer exist. That's where it was leading me because nothing worked anymore. I couldn't drink enough alcohol. I couldn't take enough pills. I couldn't do it to alleviate all the bullshit that was going on in me, right?
Yeah.
And so it gets to a point where that chatter is overwhelming. You're like, if none of that shit's working anymore.
Yeah.
And that's the horror of untreated alcoholism, untreated addiction, is usually it leads to just some, suicidal thoughts of I'd be much better just not here, and so it's just terrible.
There's a quote from the director of the documentary. I'm sure you've heard this before. I love this. I don't think Mark liked hurting people, but he was very good at it. And as you sit across from me right now, you're such a gentle, kind soul. Is it something you just flip on?
So the first fights ever, right? I hoped I had that switch, because it's a little different switch than just, hey, we're competing against each other, we're wrestling, right?
Yeah,
It's
because your background's in wrestling.
Right? And so wrestling is a combat sport in and of itself, without strikes, kicks, and so on. But I had always hoped that I had that switch, and part of the narrative I had in my head was like, okay, if you and I get thrown in a room and one person has to come out, I'm coming out. I know that I am. And then having that little doubt in the back of your head going, I think I know I am, right? Because at that point, I didn't know. I didn't know if I had that gear. And then once everything, just in the ring, everything just coalesced and together, it's like, I have that. And it's one where I do have to click a switch, because it is just such a different contrast from my everyday me.
The Smashing Machine is such a great nickname. And for people that don't know the story behind it, how'd you get that nickname?
So down in Brazil for those fights, they had a Brazilian reporter, and he looked at it, and it's the only thing he can come up with, because the first two fights were quick, but they were gory. And the last fight was 15 minutes or so, 18 minutes. I forget what it ran, but
It went to decision?
It went to decision. And it was a time where it was like, back then it was, here's the rules. You're going to fight until someone wins. That was it. So when I say I don't know if it went 15 minutes, I know it went a while.
It went until they stopped it.
Until they stopped it, right? And so I had taken this guy, Fabio Gugel, and I mauled him. It just was one of those things where I couldn't understand inside me, like, why he just wouldn't give up. It was this, like, I am punishing him to the point where any human being would just give up. And now looking back on it, I can understand, like, what I was after was taking his will. And some people just don't want to give it to you. And he's one of the people that didn't want to give it to me. He just refused to give it to me. Because other people I've fought, I've put pressure on them, and I've hurt them, and they just give me their will to win, and you can feel it as a fighter. You can feel somebody give a little bit of it, and it propels you to take more of it. You know, and so he just wouldn't give it, and it frustrated me. And I just, you know, in the documentary, it's like I dig in his cut. I fractured his orbital. You know, I get to the point where I can't even punch with my hands. So I'm punching with the palms of my hands. I'm trying everything, and he won't. And it baffled me. It literally baffled me. And looking back on it, I understand, like, what I was after and what he didn't want to give me. You know, in that moment, I was like, just fucking give it to me. And he wouldn't.
And that's the fight that made you the Smashing Machine?
Yeah. Yeah. Because I just kept pounding him, and it went for so long. It was like a machine that was on an assembly line.
And this was it was a headline, right?
Yeah. It was a headline in Autonomy, I think is the name of the magazine. And it was a Máquina de Bater, the machine that smashes, in Portuguese. And it was like, that was like the hook. And it was like, okay, that's like one of those things I can't name myself, right? Like all of a sudden going, hey, Chris, I'm the man, I'm the badass. It's like no, somebody needs to give you that name, right?
Yeah.
So it was down there, and it was a reporter that actually did that.
Before you got into MMA, before you got into wrestling, you were a huge WWE fan, right?
Yeah.
Like you wanted to be a pro wrestler?
Yeah. At some point it was, you know, I met with a friend of mine, introduced me to Shane McVay. Or Shane
McMahon?
McMahon, sorry. I know Sean McVay. So, and that was just a conversation. And it was literally like, they gave me the idea of like, hey, here's where you would start. And it was like, you mean I would start way down there? And these small little regional things, and I have to work my way. And it just didn't sound appealing, the process of it. I'm like, how do you, like,
what was this, like early 90s,
oh,
mid 90s?
Yeah, it was let's see, It would have been 90, just when I started fighting, and I didn't know if I was going to continue. So probably 97, 98.
Okay.
97, 98. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like I literally, JR, who doesn't, literally my friend goes, okay. And talking to them, and they were just straight up going, it's work. It's a lot of work. And it's like, okay, you might travel 300 days out of the year. Okay. Like, it just seemed like the process to get to where, like, Dwayne, it's like, that's so much work.
Because on the flip side, if you're fighting, it's maybe at that time 6 fights a year. It's way less now, but
yeah,
300 days versus half a dozen fights.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the contrast was like, oh my God. And when I started fighting after UFC 15, I went over to Japan, and Japan was paying, 10 times what the UFC was paying.
Wow.
And it was back then, it was like, okay, we're going to pay you in cash and we'll give you a foreign work credit. And I'm like, okay.
But UFC was really getting clamped down on, it was illegal pretty much everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, it turned out to where the original owner just really didn't go about it the right way, trying to make, boxing commissions, say, hey, listen, here's really what we're doing, right?
Yeah.
It's combat. So here's how we're making it safe. He still wanted this idea that it was just wild, wild west, you come in with one boxing glove. It was almost unmarketable at one point.
Yeah, it was, they weren't able to show it on TV. It was pay-per-view only.
Pay-per-view. Yeah.
I remember finding it in the back section of Blockbuster.
You did. Usually the corner bookstore, the corner video store. It was right next to the pornos, next to the shutters. You go or you ask where it is, and they go, see those, shutters there, right next to it, up top shelf. There's like one row of it. It's like, okay. Because I would go get it because I would for me, I wanted the investigation of what the hell's this BJJ stuff, right? Because they I couldn't go to a dojo and they wouldn't share anything with me. It was this totally even in Arizona, some of the traditional kung fu and stuff, I would go, hey, can I come in and use the mat space? And they'd go yeah, when nobody's in here. Because it was such a threat to that establishment, And so BJJ was the same thing. We're not giving away our secrets. It's like, okay, because you'd have to watch a videotape and going, okay, how the hell is he getting?
And that's why Royce Gracie was so unstoppable at first. Because people were like, how is he pulling this off? He's not even that big.
No, they couldn't understand. Because, part of how I grew up was if you have a 10th degree black belt, a toughest dude in the room, right?
Sure. If
you have a guy 6'9", 400 pounds, no, my God, leave him alone, right? And it's one where it's all of those myths were being shattered one by one. Yeah. So you're watching it and going, okay, I missed something, right? I completely missed something. He is just beating the brakes off these guys, and I don't know how. It was just so it's unbelievable to watch.
So before that conversation with Shane McMahon, you were already a pro wrestling fan as a kid, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, to the point where I grew up the youngest of 5, not a ton of money, and I remember going to every WWE event that came into town. It was because we had it on our side of town in Toledo, Ohio, at the sports arena. It was called, and it was one where it's the Iron Sheik, and I think the Hulk came into town a couple times, and they had Andre the Giant, and they had these just events where it would be my parents saving, going, this is what I want to go to, and me, I had a little paper route that I could contribute to it, but it was one where it's I remember going to these events and they were pivotal, oh my God, I can't believe how tough he is, and not really understanding it was choreographed. It was all performance.
Think of how different your life may have turned out if you were 20 right now and UFC is what it is, and WWE is where it's at right now.
Yeah.
You might have taken a completely different career path.
Yeah. Because it's just one where it's, I ended up, with fighting, I ended up getting to a point where I just couldn't get to that space in me that I needed to get to. to inflict that kind of punishment on another person.
Did it go away?
The desire to be in that environment, the desire to get in a ring, and this is what I figured out from myself, is that I get addicted to taking somebody's will to win. You get addicted to the crowd, you get addicted to the adrenaline of it, the emotions of it. And, it became something that I couldn't process. Like at the beginning, I could process it and focus everything towards it. And towards the end of it, it was just like, that one doubt of like, I don't think I want to do this.
Did that happen after you lost your first match? Because you hear a lot of fighters talk about like you feel invincible when you're undefeated. Then you lose, and it kind of gets in your head of like, oh, I could lose.
Yeah. That was the beginning of it. The beginning of it was like, it's a doubt that creeps in, and then it's that doubt that kind of sat with me for a while of like, do I really want to do this? Like, because for me, it's a completely different person that gets in there and does that. It's like it's like a basic operating system that everyone has in them. Some people can access it, some people can't. And when I access it, it was like, oh my God, I have this gear in me where I can do this to another person. Because some of the stuff I did was brutal, absolutely brutal.
What's the most brutal thing you did?
When I first started that, like with Fabio, that was just like I still to this day just still can't believe like what kind of punishment he took. And the crazy part is, I don't know if you realize this, the next day I get a call from his wife, and she says, Fabio wants to have you up to the house for lunch. And I'm like, immediately in my head I go, oh, he's gonna have all his boys up there, and he's gonna give me a little payback, right? Yeah. And I'm like, well, what do you like? Where like I didn't know what to say, and then she goes, no, I have lunch prepared.
You end up like buried in the backyard.
Oh my God, man! You'd figure in Brazil they can find some place where you'd never be found again, and so I agreed to it. She goes, write this down. You're going to give this to the taxi driver, and I'm like, oh my God. So the taxi driver takes me there, and I go up, and his wife speaks really good English. And so she sat there for a couple hours, and we had this just beautiful conversation. And it was like, for me, it set a precedent for like how you can carry yourself in the ring. And then once you're out, you're living how you want to live, how you want to be. Yeah. No animosity came from him. And nothing except we were exchanging like information with each other.
Yeah.
And it was this just beautiful exchange of like, competition's competition. That was yesterday. Today, I want you to sit down and have lunch with me.
And we see that in the scene in the movie where you're in the doctor's office.
Yeah.
And the woman says, do you guys hate each other?
Yeah.
And you're like, no, not at all.
Yeah. And that's if that hadn't happened, it might have taken me a minute to get it. Because it's just one of those things where it's like the other person you're fighting, it's difficult. It's a really hard thing to do, to train for it, to get your body ready for it, to get your mind ready for it, and then to execute against another person. It takes a very special person to be able to do that.
Before you got into fighting, you wrestled Kurt Angle many times.
Mm-hmm.
How many times do you think you wrestled Kurt?
Like, I think total of 8 times.
Who won more often?
It ended up being 4-4.
But he won the Olympic qualifier.
He did. Yeah, the 2 years prior to that, I had beat him off the world teams.
Wow.
And him and I. This is just how beautiful a person he is. So, my mom, who had terminal cancer in '96, right? So I tell people, I go, you want to know a bad month? So, 1996, January, Dave Schultz. I wrestled for Foxcatcher. So did Kurt. Dave Schultz is murdered. I'm over in Russia when they make that announcement. Just heart goes absolutely cold. Like we still haven't competed yet. And so the coach is like, if you don't want to compete tomorrow, you don't have to. And I'm like, okay, but I flew we're in Siberia, Russia, little town called Krasnoyarsk. And I go, okay, I'll compete. So I competed, but my heart wasn't into it. So I lost the first match and I go, fuck it. I'm done. I go home and I was supposed to actually fly from Russia to Foxcatcher to continue to train for the nationals, which were in April. And so I end up going home to Ohio. My brother asked me to come home, and he says, hey, listen, the cancer's terminal. It's metastasized outside of my mom's colon, and they're going to try some experimental chemo. She'll have to have a chemo pack on to pump chemo in her 24 hours a day. But it doesn't look optimistic, right? So, I go ahead and just devastated. And I gather myself up and I go, okay, I'm living in Arizona. I continue to train. I end up going to Athens, Greece, and end up pulling my transverse abdominal and dropping to my growing muscles, pulling them completely out. And so I can't compete in the nationals. So I have to petition to get in Olympic trials. They're in Spokane, Washington. I wrestle Mark Coleman right at the pull. I lose to Mark right off the bat. So my chance of being an Olympian, I could be an alternate, but I can't get to Kurt, right? So I throw my shoes away, literally like, fuck it, what's the point? And Art Moturi, who had the Sunkissed Kids, he comes over and says, listen, it'd be the last time your mom's gonna watch you wrestle. Why don't you get your shoes on?
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, you're right. You're right. And so get my shoes on, and I wrestle 4 more matches that day, and it puts me in a spot to be like, I can be second alternate to on the Olympic team. So I wrestle the next day. My body is just devastated, and I end up losing that match. But it was one of those where so I gather myself up, go to Ohio, and we watch Kurt. Me and my mom watch Kurt win the gold medal, and then we try everything to get a hold of him afterward. And my mom dies September 3rd. We get a letter from him September 5th, and it's this beautiful, beautiful letter. I can't even talk about it because it made me just bawl.
Wow, what a gesture.
Oh, in the letter, he's basically like, because you made me, Kurt's biggest obstacle, it helped him win the gold medal because it was an obstacle he never thought he could overcome. Wow. I'll have to show you the letter someday. It's one of those where still to this day, like reading it or my brother reading it, it just drops you.
I'd love
to read
that.
Yeah,
almost 30 years later now.
Yeah. Incredible.
Do you still keep in touch with Kurt?
I actually bumped into him again in Philadelphia for WrestleMania, and we just had a beautiful conversation. He's just a great human being.
Yeah.
Just really good human being.
He's such a good guy. And you talk about going into that other gear.
Yeah.
Kurt's one of the greatest pro wrestlers of all time.
Oh, undoubtedly.
Undoubtedly. And he just has that like killer instinct when he's in the ring.
Yeah.
Whether that's a wrestling mat or whether it's a wrestling ring.
Yeah.
He just flips it in another gear.
Yeah. I mean, we brawled. The first time we ever trained together, and this is, was at Foxcatcher in 92, it was fall in 92. And I popped his knee, I sprained his knee, and he was going to go, he still ended up doing it to Moscow to wrestle in the World Cups. And it was one of those things, the first time we ever trained together. Because normally if you're competing against each other, you're not training against each other. But we had an opportunity to do that. It was like first time I got to really go with him. And it was like this awesome of like trading takedowns and this and that. It's just beautiful, man. Because he did have another gear. He did have, and it's in 95 and 96 is why he was on the Olympic team because he found another gear that I couldn't find. Incredible.
Getting a great night's sleep is one of life's finest luxuries. You got to check out Miracle Made's bed sheets. They're inspired by NASA, and they have silver-infused fabrics that are temperature regulating, so you can sleep at the perfect temperature all night long. Also, say goodbye to those gross odors. Because they're infused with silver, they prevent up to 99.7% of bacterial growth, so that means you get fresher sheets up to 3 times longer. Miracle sheets are so comfortable without the high price tag of other luxury brands, and they feel just as good as sheets you'd have in a 5-star hotel. If you've tried everything else, try Miracle. Upgrade your sleep this year by going to trymiracle.com/CVV. And whether you're buying them for yourself or you're buying them as a gift for a loved one, you're already going to save over 40% if you order today. But if you use the code CVV at checkout, you'll get an additional 20% off plus a free 3-piece towel kit. That's trymiracle.com/CVV.
Was that your only year to possibly qualify for the Olympic team?
You know what? I only wanted to do one Olympic cycle. I watched in the wrestling world guys that would get stuck, and they would do one Olympic cycle. This 4-year commitment, right? Once Olympics are over, you start training because you want to position yourself to be on world teams, so you get that experience. And so I'd watch guys get caught in these 8-year cycles, and I go, I can't do that. That year in '96. I think I made, it was like $23,000 total.
And then when you started fighting in '97.
Yeah, my first fights were $25,000. So it's like, okay. I mean, the contrast was there. It's like, do another Olympic cycle, continue to be poor. I mean, it allows you to function, but it's bare minimum.
Yeah. You were making the money then that UFC fighters are afforded now.
Yeah.
What's the most you might have made for a fight in your entire career?
Almost $500,000.
Incredible.
Back then
Which fight was that?
That was a culmination of the Grand Prix, the way that the contract was set up with the Japanese. It was set up to where, regardless if I won or lost, it was set up where I had like a default payment, like an appearance fee. And so it was that and the overlap of another contract, because there were 2 separate contracts, my regular fighting contract and then a Grand Prix contract. So it was like I got double paid for the event.
You did UFC 14 and 15.
Yeah.
Then spent the majority of your career in Pride.
Yeah.
Was there ever the opportunity to go back to UFC?
Yeah. So this is how small this world is. So I'm living here in Santa Monica, and the UFC gets sold. And we get word that there's a training camp going on in Big Bear, and it's Tito Ortiz's training camp. They're going to push him to be the face of the new UFC. They get it sanctioned for New Jersey Boxing Commission, which is the gateway to Vegas, right?
Yeah.
Everywhere,
sure.
Everywhere, right? So I go up there, and I'm driving up there. This is so strange. It's like February, I think. I'm driving up there, snowstorm, roads are icy. I'm in my truck, and I get hit by a drunk driver at 11 a.m. in the morning.
Wow.
11 a.m. in the morning. And so he hits me, like we reach the peak of a hill at the same time.
Yeah.
He panics, he slams his brakes on, and he just skids right into my truck.
And that is the most terrifying road to drive up.
Oh, brutal.
Because one lane each way.
Brutal.
And you're on this edge of a mountain.
You are.
So one thing goes wrong.
You're down. And at the bottom, they were stopping cars because there was so much snow going up.
Oh, my gosh.
They're like, you need 4-wheel driver chains, and that's the only way of letting people up.
Wow.
And so he crashes into me, and I have an attorney that was helping me at the time, and a friend of mine. And we're like, you know what, let's just continue on. So we jump in the tow truck, and tow truck continues to take us up. And we finally get to where the training camp is. And it's Frank and Lorenzo Fertitta. It's Dana White. It's Chuck Liddell. It's Tito Ortiz. It's everybody. The Fertittas brought their massage therapists, their chefs, everything that you could possibly imagine for a training camp. And so it was like, I wanted to meet him. I want to see who the new owners were. And so, because I got hit by a drunk driver, didn't have a car to get down the mountain, and Frank and Lorenzo like, hey, we're going to Beverly Hills hotel tomorrow. Do you want to ride in the limo with us down? So it was like this awesome, like riding down the mountain with the new owners of the UFC. Got a chance to talk to them. And shortly after that, they made one offer. And the pay was so little comparatively to what I was making in Japan. I was like, I just can't. They go, if you're willing to sacrifice now, there will be ample opportunity for you to grow.
Who would the heavyweights have been at that time?
Pete Williams is who they made the offer.
That's who the fight would have been? So had you beat Pete, who were the other contenders at that time?
Oh, gosh, man. There was a lot at light.
I feel like
heavyweight.
that era was like light heavyweight.
It was. Like, it was all light heavyweight because it was
names,
Couture.
Right? Yep.
It was
Tito,
Chuck,
Rampage.
It was all light heavyweight.
Yeah.
That was predominantly
They were all the stars.
Yeah. They really were. I would have probably had to cut down to or have one of the guys come up.
Wow.
Because almost like one of those things, like every villain needs a superhero.
Yeah.
Right? It's like Connor needs something diabolically opposed to him to make it work, right?
Yeah, Nick Diaz.
Yeah, there you go. So
Nate Diaz. Yeah.
Yeah, either one.
Yeah, sure. But Randy fought up, so maybe it's a fight with Randy.
Yeah.
Randy
yeah,
Couture.
I mean, that would have been, so I wrestled Randy in the NCAA finals.
Wow.
My senior year, his senior year. Yeah, I beat him 12-4.
So this was your only opportunity? This is the only offer UFC made?
That's it.
Wow.
That's it. Like Dana instituted my understanding of policy of like ask once, that's it.
But then fast forward all these years later, congratulations on getting inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame.
No, that happened in June, which was, that was like a stop the bus, right? Like literally, I didn't understand it. I'm like, hang on. I'm going up to Vegas and they're inducting me in the pioneering wing of the UFC. And I was just like this moment of like, it felt like almost like you'd been wrongfully convicted and the convictions overturned. Like it felt like exoneration, right? Like this feeling of like, okay. Because I mean, at the time, it's like, I wanted to do stuff that I've said it, like I wanted to be a professional. I wanted to change the narrative because at the beginning, it looked like they just scooped guys off a bar stool and threw them in the octagon to fight, right? Mm. They didn't look like professionals.
Yeah. Yeah, early UFC was barbaric.
Oh, it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, the only one that looked like a professional was Hoist.
Sure. And It was funny. There were a lot of guys that would get taken down. You could tell they had no clue what to do.
So I wanted to change that narrative. I wanted to, like everybody in a press conference, show up with sweatsuits. I'd be in $1,000 Calvin Klein suit, right? Because I wanted that difference. I wanted people to go, that looks like a professional, and so I train like a professional. I like get up. That's my occupation. It's what I do, right? Not like, oh, I do this as a hobby and then I go into work, right? Yeah. It's like, this is what I do.
Well, a lot of guys at that time, they had day jobs.
Yeah, they did.
And they were just fighting
for
fun.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not understanding that, like where this was going,
So that meant a lot to you.
It did. It was like this, because a lot of it's just acknowledgement. It's like I didn't fight to be, no one fights to go, hey, I'm fighting so I can get a Hall of Fame. I mean, they just don't do it, right? But the whole idea behind it is to have your peers kind of step back and go, thank you. Just that little bit, because the idea behind it is just I wanted to advance the sport this much. That's it.
Well, you advanced it.
Yeah.
Way more. What does life look like for you now?
I'm remarried. My wife and I have a company called Absolute Wellness. She's been designing fitness centers and amenity spaces and environment. And, it deals with a lot of different pillars of mental health and financial health and, all these different aspects of like things that I want to be able to communicate to people and, have them, like for me personally, like my journey it's just taken such a strange turn and twist to get to here, but understanding like all of these hurdles that I had to overcome to get here. And, understanding the importance of recovery and, talking about that and having openness about that and getting rid of the shame that's associated with it. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's what kept me captive for a long time is just the shame of it, and having the ability to face that part of it is, it's the biggest step forward that I ever took.
But if your identity is so tied for so long in being an athlete, whether that's being a wrestler or it's being a fighter, and that stops one day for you, it stopped in 2009.
Yeah.
How do you find your identity?
It took me to 2018.
Wow. Okay.
So almost a decade. Because it's one where, like I said earlier, it's like, it's what I did. It's not who I am. Right. But not understanding that statement, not completely understanding like that is just a separate thing. What I am and much more than that. Right. I'm a complex human being. I have all kinds of stuff to give other than just that. And when you tie up in yourself and you take what you feel your worth is, I had this delusion that was my worth. Fighter. And it's like, no. That's what you did. Your worth is much more than that. Right. Yeah.
Can you believe how massive Dwayne got for this movie?
The running joke was, it's the only director in the world, Benny's the only director in the world that looked at him and go, you need to get bigger.
I don't know how it's possible. He's running out of skin.
It's just one more. First time I ever saw him in full prosthetics. So they brought me over to Vancouver for Fight Week. And we're in this big venue. They're going to film these scenes that are in Japan. And they didn't tell me they were going to do prosthetics. They didn't say any of this. And so I'm talking and Dwayne walks in behind me and he's got a pride shirt, a blue pride shirt. And he's got these Adidas track pants on. He's got the shoes on I wore. He's got my hair on. He's got all the prosthetics on. And I turn around and I could only cuss at him. It was this whole thing of like just pushing him and going, fuck you, dude. Like, fuck. Like, seriously, like, because I didn't realize how much time he put into getting, because he goes, I needed big traps and I needed big shoulders. Because it's like when you look at me back then, it's like I had a 25-inch neck. I had shoulders that just were on top of shoulders. And it was just like I looked at him, couldn't believe it. Like a doppelganger, he was me.
Wow.
Completely.
You felt like you were looking at yourself?
Oh my God. Like shockingly. Like just could not, I'm like, I couldn't process it. Because it was just like, oh my God, dude, this is unbelievable. Because no one said it. No one said, hey, listen, we have Academy, we're winning, makeup and prosthetics. And I'm like, it was incredible. Incredible.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about Dwayne's performance. Maybe he'll get nominated for an Oscar. I also think that the makeup team, that's like an Oscar. That feels like a lock to me.
I couldn't imagine like the call going out saying, hey, we need somebody to do, prosthetics, and it's going to be all of this, and he's going to have to move in it, and he's going to have to wrestle in it, and he's going to strike in it, and they have to stay on. It's like I wouldn't return that call.
Yeah, and I think that's a big part of it that no one thinks about. He's got to sweat in this, and
everything.
He's got to move, and
all of his tats are covered up.
Yeah.
Right? And he has my little dragon tattoo, my two little spider tattoos on him.
What do those mean, by the way?
So this is crazy. So when I was at Syracuse, I lost my scholarship after my sophomore year, and I started doing roadie work. I started pulling cables and stuff. I ended up getting on the Who reunion tour in 1989. And then,
what a life you've lived.
Oh my God.
A roadie for the Who.
So it even gets better. So at the end of that, I end up in San Diego. I meet this guy, says, listen, the Stones are going on tour. They have, I think it was like 33 cities or whatever it was. Call this guy. So I call this guy and he's like, hey, we're looking for, scaffers, building the the skeleton to hang all the speakers and lights. And I go, okay. And he goes, when can you be in Philadelphia? I go, oh, give me a day. So I fly down to Philadelphia, Veterans Stadium, where they have their first show. And he hands me blueprints and he goes, grab some guys and go build downstage right staircase. I'm like,
crazy.
I'm like, okay. You know, I'm 20 years old, the youngest guy in the whole entire crew. And I do 12 cities with him.
Wow.
Do 12 cities with him. So that was like one of those.
So is that what the tattoos mean?
That tattoos, because I was climbing around. So a lot of, I mean, if OSHA was here, so you have to clip in to your steel, right?
Sure.
I mean, it's just one where the stones top of their stage was 110 feet high.
Oh my gosh.
Right? It was the largest production stage put out on the road at the time. 312 feet long and like 80 feet deep. It was giant. It was huge. And so when you got up in the steel, you pass everything with a human pass line, right? They're 8x8 bays. And so you put humans in the corner of them and they clip into the steel. And so a lot of times what happens to get things moving, there'd be a guy that couldn't, they're called standards, which are the vertical pieces. He couldn't put it in. So I'd have to like unclip from the steel, climb up, help him plug it to keep things going. Right. And at one point it's just like, I just never clipped in. I was like a spider in the steel, because I'd go, okay, I'm a lot more efficient bouncing around like this than staying and watching. So got the spiders in Boulder, Colorado, actually.
What a story.
There's little pockets of stuff that you're like, oh, that's interesting.
You should make a movie about your life. So I don't want to give away too much.
Yeah.
You're in the movie.
Yeah.
And it's shot on IMAX film.
Oh my God. Yeah. Which is incredible.
Right. So if somebody's watching this in an IMAX theater,
Yeah.
the screen will then open up. Yeah. To like, will be full frame.
Yep.
Did they just tell you there to just go about your daily life?
It was all, it's one of those things where from the very beginning, Benny was like, trust me. And I go, okay. And he goes, here's what I want you to do. And he goes, he didn't even get to the depth of like the why of how it's going to appear or anything like that. He goes, I just need you to do this. It's your average day. And I'm like, okay. And the whole idea behind everything is that at the end of all of that, you know, I'm okay. You know, and it gets me emotional. Because it's one of those things where it's like, you can go through all of that stuff. And, you know, life can throw all this stuff at you and you can get through it, and you could be in a spot where you could just go, I'm okay.
Yeah. I'm reminded of this quote, you are not the things that happen to you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And like, you can get past that.
Yep.
And you can overcome that.
Yep.
And you are not beholden to be the person you were yesterday.
Yeah.
Or last week or last month or last year. I love that message.
Yeah. Because a lot of people get stuck. You know, they get stuck. They get stuck in, like I said, the thing that kept me stuck is shame. You know, it's something that happened. It's not who I am, right? It's not the whole entire, one moment does not a man make, right? That type of thing, right? You know, it's like, you know, I've had a lot of bad moments, man, but I've also had a lot of great ones.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you think you still have that killer instinct in you?
I do. I know I do. It might be harder to access now. I probably want to negotiate with you.
Let's just talk about
Let's just share some feelings to see if that helps, you know. But yeah, I know I have, because it's that competitiveness that just never leaves you.
You're in an interesting spot right now because the film is screened at Venice.
Yeah.
It's screened at TIFF, the Toronto International Film Festival, which I'm from Toronto, so I know how much that festival means to the people there. But also, like, that's a big pivotal festival when you're making an awards run, so I get it. You're on this side of it now where the general public haven't seen the movie.
Yeah, yeah.
This interview will drop the day before the movie comes out.
Yep.
So, like, this is a big weekend.
Oh my God, it's huge.
Like, I feel like this will actually be like a dividing line in your life of like before people saw the film.
Yeah. And now after.
Yes.
Now after. Yeah.
And that's big.
Yeah. And again, it's trying to get because my favorite saying for me is you can't see the forest through the trees, right? Like I'm right in the middle of it, so I don't have perspective. Like DJs try to give me perspective, and Benny, you know, because they've been through stuff like this.
What kind of perspective is Dwayne trying to give you?
Stay present. You know, just try to stay present, you know, in the moment, and enjoy the moment for what the moment is, right? Because a lot of times, you know, I call it, you know, forward, when you're thinking forward, you're, you know, fucking stinking thinking, you know, type of thing. And so trying to stay present has been this concentrated effort. If I could just stay in the moment, I'm okay. Because I don't have to worry about the next moment or the moment past. I just have to, I'm in this moment, I'm enjoying it. And it's been incredible.
Were you able to be in that moment and appreciate it when the movie got that incredible reception at the Venice Film Festival? A 15-minute standing ovation.
Yeah, that was, that's what I was saying, is vibration, right? It wasn't really a feeling, it was a frequency of like how, because I couldn't narrow it down to a feeling, right? Like gratitude or humility or, you know, any of those. It was so far beyond that. Like I just don't have the language to describe it. My body was translating it as frequency. Like my hands were like, honestly, like phasing. Like so, and it's one where you have like Emily lean over and go, I've never had this. You know, DJ saying the same thing. He's like, I've never had this. They've never been to Venice like this. They've never been to Venice with a film. You know, and Benny, you know, he has this emotional like overload, you know, where he just is crying, and it's palpable. You can feel it, you know, this feeling of just gratefulness and gratitude and humility, and just like a sense of like, wow, you know, when somebody appreciates something like that, it was incredible.
And it's interesting because it's applause for the film.
Yeah.
It's applause for Dwayne's performance, for Emily's performance, for Benny directing this and putting this together. It's also applause for you. Yeah. And a life well lived.
Yeah, that breaks me up. You know, DJ reminds me of that, because sometimes I forget it.
Yeah.
You know.
What a story.
Yeah, it's been
what a life.
It's been incredible.
And what a film too.
Yeah. All the way around.
Yeah. And it's been such a pleasure sharing this conversation with you. Thank you for coming in here.
No, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
I so enjoyed the film. And I'll ask you the question I ask everybody at the end. You mentioned gratitude. Yeah. And that is at the core of my life. It means so much to me. I wake up every day. I say out loud 3 things I'm grateful for. Yeah. I do it before I go to bed. And it's the question I ask everybody. What are 3 things in your life, Mark, that you're grateful for right now?
Oh, stability, sense of self, and relationships.
Wow. Those are 3 I've never heard before.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Stability.
Yeah.
In what aspect of your life?
There's just more consistency with everybody in my life because I'm more consistent. Right. And it builds, I call it like emotional stability.
You keep showing up, so they keep showing up too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that.
Emotional stability. Because it's one where I'm, when I was emotionally a wreck and all over the place and using, drinking, all that, it creates all this chaos. Everybody's unstable. They don't have stability around me. So yeah. It's a huge part.
Look where you're at now.
Yeah, right.
Thank you, sir.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah.